Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We saw an unprecedented press conference yesterday by the DG ISPR and DG ISI where clearly institutions and the respect for institutions was something that was discussed, and primarily we also saw the fall of narratives, so to speak, from the opposition. As far as disclaimers are concerned, as far as puncturing of those narratives are concerned, we'll be talking about what this press conference revealed in terms of the revelations that seem largely irrefutable at this time. We'll also be talking about the political ramifications of the revelations that came in this unprecedented press conference by both the DG ISPR and the DG ISI. In which it was clearly said that the narrative that has been built till now is based on lies and fiction, and the way and the counteracting of that narrative, what it means for the Pakistani politics today. We also saw another important headway as far as Rana Sanaullah and the Minister for Interior is concerned, where the investigation, the probe into allegations again by people from the opposition alleging harassment, alleging abuse were dispersed. Again, we'll be talking about that. We'll also, of course, be talking about the long march, long-awaited long march by the former Prime Minister Imran Khan, which has now begun from Lahore, and what is that likely to achieve? What kind of a political scenario do we expect in the next couple of weeks? All of that today on Perspective. I have with me Rana Maqbool Ahmad, who's Senator PML-N. Thank you for joining us, and Farid Rais, who is a senior journalist, who is in the studio. Thank you for joining us. And we also have with us Naveed Aman, who is a senior analyst. Thank you for being with us. Farid sir, like I said, you know, overall the situation after in the press conference, as far as the DG ISPR and DG ISI are concerned, they clearly said that one, that the cipher was again whatever had been built, the conspiracy narrative that had been built on the cipher was fiction. They also said that the fact that the allusion to any other narrative, you know, as far as the opposition is concerned, the former Prime Minister is concerned, his assertions are concerned, were all based on lies till now. Of course, you know, overall, how do you look at this press conference? How do you look at the revelations that came, you know, after we now, like we were earlier talking about, more than 6 months into, you know, after the vote of no confidence, and we saw, you know, it built up the cipher conspiracy, then, you know, the vote of no confidence pursuant to that conspiracy. All of that seem to have been deflated after this press conference. How do you look at it?
Actually, I was, not only me, but many of us were surprised to see DG ISI sitting beside DG ISPR. It was a historical press conference yesterday, and all those narratives, all the realities, all the facts were mentioned by the two gentlemen sitting in front of the camera, in front of the TV camera, and especially DG ISI. It is for the very first time that he broke his own appearance, as he promised that he will not appear in front of the TV, he will not be in the media. But as he said in his press talk, that it was now mandatory for him to come in front of the talk, because so much false narrative was being built. So it was not good for him to stay or to stay behind. The basic thing is, we just go back, as you talk about it, from April 2022, when there was the vote of, when there was the overall the PDM which planned for the vote of no confidence against the sitting Prime Minister, the then Prime Minister Imran Khan. And it was a successful vote of no confidence in which the PTI had to go home and roll its bags. But afterwards, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf Chairman Imran Khan started building a narrative and selling his narrative. He told the people that his government was sent home in the name of regime change. It was not a usual one. There was the US behind all this regime change. There was a cipher, and overall he so beautifully fabricated all the things that the people started and people believed in it what he said.
But do you think a lot of that, let me come back to you. I want to go to Rana Maqbool Sahab and include him, and then I'll come back to you. Ji, Rana Sahab, do you think a lot of the narrative that has been built by the PTI, by the former Prime Minister himself, relied largely on there not being this kind of refutation that came yesterday?
Thank you, Mahrukh. Actually, the habit of the PTI's leader, Imran Khan, of hunting with the hound and running with the hare, had been totally exposed. He has been deceiving all his allies and all his friends all over, the political friends. And more so, his derogatory language and abusive expression really motivated this reaction by the army general officers who got together. It was absolutely unprecedented. This provocative style of Imran Khan actually added
Rana Sahab, but
insult
there's
to the injury.
also, granted what you're saying, but there's also been refutation that has come since then from the PTI themselves. And, you know, of course, one of the things that was said in this historic press conference was, you know, about meetings that were held behind closed doors and then were later dismissed, later not accepted, later given another kind of, you know, by the former Prime Minister himself. But that itself, according to the PTI, they say that, you know, they had, now they admit to those meetings. They also say that they were conducted and that they were, same demands were made behind closed doors. How would you answer that?
Mahrukh, there are three aspects of an individual's conduct. That is the previous conduct and the present conduct and the subsequent conduct. If you analyze the conduct, all three shapes of conduct of Imran Khan, he comes up to be a very dubious character. And he always tries to conceal things and creates such a situation where he thinks that he'll be able to take away the cake everywhere. This time he has not succeeded. Whereas he was offering lifetime commandership to the army chief, and they couldn't rebut it. Did they say? They haven't said to the army chief in presence of the ISI chief. And ISI chief, who's a very resilient commander, you might have known about his professional acumen, professional competence, and professional integrity. Since they were pushed back to the wall due to allegations, volleys of allegations which were thrown on them time and again, hence they reacted. Thank God the situation has been cleared altogether. Now the new equation
Let me
is
come
there.
back to you. Rana Sahab, I'll come back to you. Let me go to Naveed Sahab. Naveed Sahab, how do you look at, you know, in your opinion, how do you see the press conference that was then conduced by the PTI, you know, aiming to refute whatever had been said by the DG ISPR and the DG ISI? You know, again, like Rana Sahab said, they didn't say that the offer had not been made. But I want to talk more about how this looks. You know, we are seeing a lot of, you know, stuff come out from across the border against Pakistan, against what happened, you know, in terms of what the press conference, then again what the opposition is saying, maligning of institutions that has now been happening for a while by the opposition. How do you look at this overall in terms of, you know, the kind of signals this is sending internationally, the way that it's making us look overall? You know, as we're a democracy, we're a country of, you know, the 5th largest democracy, and yet, you know, we are at this time becoming fodder for, you know, countries like India. How do you look at it?
Well, the last day's press conference by DG ISI and DG ISPR has its very serious implications. And it was a call to just remind Imran Khan his obligations, his responsibilities and duties as a former prime minister, as a politician. Because Imran Khan has shown his behavior like a very immature and irresponsible politician. Pakistan is in really deep trouble because of the political instability and because of the economic instability. Pakistan is not enjoying very good relationships with its neighboring countries, with its brotherly countries. Uh, Pakistan is trying to combat flood effects, flood, flood damages. 35 million Pakistanis are in trouble. And Imran Khan, apart from his politics, he should have gone for the rehabilitation of the flood effectees, along with all the other politicians. DGISI, in particular, he is a professional soldier. He has never tried to come in picture as a spy master, but he came in the picture. He told everybody, Imran Khan and his companions, and to just think, rethink, and review their behavior. Pakistan cannot afford such a relationship, such a behavior, such sort of long marches just before Prime Minister's visit to China. Prime Minister's visit to China has its very, very important, serious geopolitical implications. Pakistan needs support, diplomatic as well as political support from China. And the Prime Minister is committed to go to China and win their hearts for Pakistan. And before this
Naveed
moment,
sir, let me come back
Imran
to you. I
Khan
think
has
that's a very
decided to go
important
for
point that
this
you've raised.
upheaval, that Pakistan cannot afford. So that was a serious call by the spy master and ISI chief, DG ISPR, to just think of his behavior.
Right. Let me come back to you. Ji, Farid sir, that's an important question, point that Naveed sir is talking about. He's saying that there is clearly, of course, we've even had the Prime Minister say this, that we're looking at an investment by the Saudis also. We are looking at this very important trip to China also. And in terms of that being the primary concern for the government at this time, investment, trying to stabilize the economy, trying to bring down the inflation, all of these things are going to be impacted by the kind of uncertainty, by the kind of destabilization this will inevitably breed, no?
Yeah, you are very right about it. But as we heard about saying the DGISPR and the DGI, by saying that they are not stopping anyone by any kind of a protest or any kind of a long march unless and until it is a peaceful one. They said that it is the right of every individual. If they want to march towards Islamabad, okay, they are very welcome to march towards Islamabad. But protesting is something other. And what are the intentions and what PTI thinks about? As we all know about it, it is not too far away. It's not too, but it was in 2014, right next to you, that there was a march, there was a sit-in in the red zone, and there was a one more than 100 days. The PTI sat over here. Basic thing is over is that the basic problem which lies is, as you said, that the economy is the biggest challenge right now. It is not the challenge about that the Imran Khan is thinking about that if there would be a appointment of an army chief, then he should be consulted. In what capacity he should be consulted? The current government is there, and the current government has the right to appoint an army chief. It is an important appointment. And right as he also said earlier to his followers in his speeches, he maligned the appointment process. He maligned the next, who would be the next chief of the army staff. So this is not the thing, and this is not the key challenge of the country. As early Imran Khan wishes to have an early election, I also say this thing, that if this is the case, then at that time, before April, when he was the Prime Minister, the President was of the PTI, Dr. Arif Alvi Saab is the President. At that time, PTI would have decided, Imran Khan would have decided to dissolve the assemblies, go for the fresh elections. But on the other hand, at that time, he didn't had that kind of a narrative to sell to his followers, to his voters, because till April and now, there are many things which Imran Khan and Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf has inflated. in terms of the cipher, in terms of the regime change, in terms of hailing allegations over US for the change in the regime, maligning the chief of the army staff, maligning the institution, maligning the process. The current government has all the rights and the current government has all the things to steer the country toward the direction. Let the government complete its tenure. As Imran Khan said, as the PTI claims that, okay, their government was not allowed to complete its tenure. It is written in the Constitution of Pakistan that the vote of no confidence was as per the Constitution. It was done according to the Constitution, and if you don't like about it, okay, if the current government is this, just think about the country.
But how do you look at this overall in terms of how it's going to impact the narrative? Because, you know, this is clearly
narrative of whom?
Of the opposition, the former Prime Minister himself,
Okay.
when clearly, you know, we have, the DG ISPR and DG ISI coming and saying that there was no conspiracy pursuant to the cipher, on which most, on which the whole conspiracy narrative is built.
You heard the audio leaks?
The vote of no confidence.
You heard the audio leaks? You came across the audio leaks? What was talked about? Don't name America. Okay, we need to fabricate all the things, but do not name US. So what was said? What was mentioned by the DGI that in the nights after the sunset, Imran Khan used to visit the COS and used to request about him to save him. On the other hand,
what about the refutations again that have come? They're not saying that they didn't. They're saying yes, they did, but that they were making the same demands at night that they were making in the day. So and also they haven't denied the fact that the offer was in fact made for extension.
For extension and for what you can say, that was no time bound. The extension was not time bound.
Right.
It was forever. So these kind of things, as Imran Khan says that, okay, when he talks about the constitution, so wasn't that an unconstitutional move to offer a sitting army chief?
But is it going to have an impact, you think, overall on the kind of assertions that have been made since then? Again, the whole assertions as far as we saw what happened to the press conference, Azam Sawati Sahab, and then the Minister for Interior with the FIA personnel come and talk about what actually happened in terms of that narrative also. So overall, how do you think it's going to, as far as there doesn't seem to be any ethical boundary here, which the opposition is not willing to cross to further their political gains. Isn't that true?
Yes, it is true. There is no ethics, there is no ethical red lines. They have crossed all the red lines, but it is only because of their personal gains. Right now, I believe this thing that the Pakistan is facing a big economic challenge. The biggest challenge Pakistan is facing is in terms of economy. We all need to think about this thing, what we are doing to it. I am not naming any one party. I believe in all the political parties that they all think and they should come to a solution by bringing all together on a single platform to talk about the economy of Pakistan. Right now, what is our exports? Right now, what is our balance of payments? Right now, where the dollar to rupee ratio is going on? Right now, how much exports we are doing? Right now, what is the performance of our industries, our large scale manufacturing units, our small scale units?
But those would be, let me go to Rana Sahab. Rana Sahab, those questions that Farid Sahab is talking about are of course pertinent, and they would interest somebody who would be interested in talking about solutions. But this doesn't seem to be what the opposition is talking about. The whole narrative of this Hakiki Azadi that the opposition is talking about, of this, that has been built on, we saw the press conference by the DG ISPR, DG ISI, on a bed of lies is what is fueling this movement of the opposition.
Mahrukh, actually, Imran Khan is a person who is not psychologically a balanced man. Unfortunately, you might have observed his behavior, which he demonstrated everywhere. He is so whimsical and so revengeful. Once he visited the USA in Houston, he made a speech telling that I'll set everybody right, my opponents. I'll slash their beds, I'll slash the refrigerators, I'll slash the ACs from the sick prisoners. What is this? It's an abnormal behavior. More so, he has done a lot of disservice to the country in terms of economy as well. Once there was a commitment with IMF, why did he betray that? It was a great disservice, and that told upon very severely on the economic conditions of our country. More so, you might have seen their behavior in case of PIA pilots. Everywhere they trumpet off that our pilots didn't have license, they're not properly trained. So our airlines suffered irreparably all over the world. So everywhere, wherever he goes, he says, my opponents are dacoits and thieves and whatnot. Doesn't he know that people are watching? If you say that your country and your people are so dishonest, why would they invest in your country? He is a man who always plays to the gallery for his personal objectives, which are really counterproductive. I
Rana
personally
sir,
think
what do you expect from this long march? Because we have seen that, you know, the government is saying that they are not going to interfere with any peaceful protests. They are just, you know, they're going to monitor this. If there is any attempt to, you know, destabilize the situation and move to go towards violence, then they will, of course, take action against anything unlawful. But what does the government expect? What do you think will, you know, in your opinion, as you know, what does the PML-N and the government expect from this long march?
you might remember yesterday it was very clearly told by the general officers that if they deviate and violate law and the government asks us to help and assist them, we'll be at their beck and call. So this is a decision, consensus decision by all the stakeholders. Don't let them do anything against the constitution and against the interest of the country. They have been already warned. If they try to do that, they'll pay through nose. I pray that they don't do that and don't violate the law and the constitution. I personally think they'll march to what is Islamabad, and finally it will fizzle out as usual. It's not going to bring any change because this situation is not conducive climate making, providing conducive climate for change. Especially, they think their objective is elections. How can the election be held once more than one third of the country, as my friend Naveed Saab has mentioned, that is in water? They are subjected to starvation. They are not getting any medicine. They have been very severely hit by the calamity. Our priority as a nation is to rehabilitate those people who have suffered so much. How can we hold the election at this stage, and that too premature elections? Because elections, as per constitution, are to be held next year. He should wait for that. Why is he anxious? Yes, one thing is there. As rightly pointed out by my friend, he is scared of the thing, perhaps you said, that he'll be exposed. You might have observed in his speeches and in his conferences, and he has been making appeal. No audios or videos should be released. Rather, they have made a petition in the Supreme Court that the people should be stopped, that no videos or audios should be released. You know what's the background? He knows what has he done. And he knows there are a lot many objectionable things which are on record. So his haste is due to owing to this issue. He thinks he'll be further exposed as far as morality and ethics
But
of the
Rana
gentleman
sir,
is
you know,
concerned.
in terms, of course, you know, unlawful, the government maintains the right to act against anything unlawful, against anyone, and you know, opposition is no exception to that. But overall, in terms of destabilizing, you know, we are seeing, if you know, I mean, from across the border, the Indian media, the way that it is being taken, all of this upheaval that the opposition is causing, is not exactly in a positive light as far as Pakistan is concerned. That itself, is it not enough to, you know, for us to see the effects of this kind of politics that we are seeing by the opposition?
You are absolutely correct, because it will jeopardize the situation by all means, even if the procession is peaceful, because it causes obstructions in the way of economic growth and investment that is there. But I think this is not indispensable because he's trying to do that. The best solution would have been all the stakeholders should have sit on the conference table, discuss issues, then reached a consensus, and then announce their agreement. If the elections are to be held August or October next year, it could be 1 or 2 months before that. Heaven will not fall on Imran Khan if he waits for another 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months in the interest of the country. His haste is really proving to be catastrophic, and he has to be checked. Number one, he should be brought around to come on the conference table. If he doesn't, then there is no option for the government to take
Let me come
appropriate
back to you. I
action
want
under
to,
the law
Rana
and the
Sahib,
constitution.
before I go to Naveed Sahib, there were reports that there were attempts to get the opposition to play ball, so to speak, to have some sort of, a working relationship, an agreement of some sort, and those fizzled out, that they didn't materialize. Is that correct? Are you willing to give us, is it true that they didn't materialize? What are your, can you confirm this for us?
Yeah, absolutely. There were backdoor communication. And this is not only the President of Pakistan, he tried, he intervened, though he didn't succeed. And the committees as well, some representation from both the parties, they got together and they couldn't reach any conclusion or any agreement. That is there. But if at all the interest of the country is the priority, they must refocus on that and they should immediately reach a solution and reach some agreement and then start working. It will be helpful for the country's economy, which is already in dooms. Therefore,
yes. Naveed Sahib, do you think that there is, a possibility of that happening? What, Rana Sahib is of course hopeful of, and rightfully so, but do you think now that the long march has started, do you expect there to be that kind of agreement, that kind of, because for a while, since the vote of no confidence happened, we've been talking about, a kind of working relationship between the opposition that started from hopes of perhaps the PTI going back into the assemblies to play their role. But of course, that hasn't happened. If anything, things have gone in the other direction completely.
Oh, well, this long march will end in an embarrassment for Imran Khan. It will result in serious embarrassment for him because he will not have any positive result out of it. It is totally a gala activity. I mean, the people he is taking from Lahore, they will march towards Islamabad. They will have just a gala activity and nothing else. What he needs to understand, he had two unfulfilled desires. One, the call from Joe Biden, and the second is appointment of the army chief. If he could not succeed in both of these things, both of these desires, it shows that his behavior as a politician, as head of the government, was non-serious, and he did not understand the ground realities he was heading on. Like if he was waiting for a phone call from Joe Biden, he should have maintained very positive bilateral relationships with America. Secondly, if he wanted to appoint army chief, he should have controlled the situation. He was having 3.5-year rule in the country. 1.5 year was left. He did not control his mouth, his words, and he went the other way. The opposition, they formulated themselves and they decided to go for no confidence movement, and they kicked him out. This desire, unfulfilled desire, has made him unbalanced, mentally unbalanced. I don't think that he will have any sort of positive outcome out of this long march. Pakistan is suffering from very serious implications of floods,
Farid, do you think there's going
economic
to be,
crunch is pushing Pakistan to the wall.
I'll just come back to Farid Sahib, do you think there's going to be, of course we're talking about the fact that this is an attempt to malign institutions. But do you think there's going to be that kind of sense? I mean, now do you think it's gone too far for any kind of sense to prevail as far as the opposition is concerned at this time?
It has gone too far, yes. As we discussed earlier, now this is not the issue. Basically, now the basic issue is how to counter this kind of a thing. Actually, the narrative which has been built, it is so strong and that it cannot be brushed out so easily. At this moment, as we are all talking about the press conference of the DG ISPR and the DG ISI, it was a very good step, and I think so that if the DG ISI had to come himself in front of it, there must be something going on at the back end, and he was compelled to come in front of the thing and made the things clarify and make the things and to open the bag and put the things all things as clear. But the basic thing is that we need to counter about this thing, how we can steer the country out of this kind of challenging situation that the country is facing about. That what I always believe in this thing, that all the political parties, all the political leadership, all the institutions, all those who are in the position, in the driving seat, they need to understand this thing, that it is not the time to counter, or it's not the time to make the things more challenging. It is the time to make the thing resolve it, because the nation needs at this situation that all the things should settle down. At this moment, we are not saying the things being settling down. There is a political hype, there is a political polarization. There are still challenges hovering around among the people and the citizens living over here. So the basic thing is over here that Imran Khan should also realize this thing, that this kind of situation is not in the favor of the country.
But isn't it true that, for them to build this agenda, to proceed with a long march, to try to refute, the press conference that was held, is again showing the kind of stubbornness again that has historically been shown by PTI as a political party.
You are very right about this thing, that it is the stubborn nature of the PTI and its chairman that press conference, and nothing is, as I told you earlier, that
nothing was really refuted in the press conference. I mean, one, they agree to the fact that the meetings were in fact held. They also agree to the fact that the offer of extension was made.
Yes.
They also, so what have they really refuted in the press conference?
Nothing else, not so significantly as compared to PTI and its leadership or its followers or the voters are concerned about. As I said earlier about that, this thing should have been why he was allowed to make this kind of narrative earlier. When at that time when he was maligning the chief, when he was maligning the institution, at that time when he was fabricating the facts, though it was not the fact, it was the fiction, and he fabricated it into reality.
You're saying that the press conference, that of course, that extraordinary press conference should have come earlier. You're saying that
I believe in this thing, that should have been done a bit earlier, because at this moment,
because this whole lies and this whole propaganda that has come from the opposition seems to have rested on the belief that it would not happen.
Still the government also, I must say also about the government of the PTI government also, that PTI as compared to as PTI is concerned, the PTI has an art to sell its narrative on the social media. Right now at the PDM and the political parties, other political parties don't have the art, or they don't have, or still they are unable to grab the audience.
Or as far as the government is concerned, like the Prime Minister maintains, they're more interested in trying to stabilize economy, they're more interested
Yes.
to trying to deal with the ramifications, the
Very
effects
true.
of the floods that are happening. 1/3 of the country is in water. We saw the
Very true.
UNG address, we saw the United Nations Council General come, and all of that, and there has been activity going.
They should do that. They should. Nobody is stopping them. And what has been done by the Prime Minister Mia Shahbaz Sharif Sahib is unprecedented. He visited all the flood affected areas, and he has highlighted the issues, what the challenges Pakistan is facing, and what were the causes of the floods, which caused us more than billions and billions of dollars of losses, more than the displacement, the humanitarian loss. But at the same time, I'm just talking about that with the government has to counter, has to come out some kind of a narrative, has to come out with some kind of the counter narrative. Center Rana Maqbool Sahib is over, he can better answer this thing, what this party is
Yes,
planning
I
to
think
do, and how
I'll
to counter this kind of narrative. But at this moment, what I believe, last words from this thing, that PTI has managed to create a balloon or inflated the situation, that at this moment they have make their followers understand that what they are saying, whatever they are saying, it is right.
Rana Sahab, do you agree with this? I mean, the statement that Farid Sahab is making, he's saying that, you know, the ability to sell the narrative should perhaps have been refuted by the government more vociferously, and that happened later than it should have. How would you answer that?
Farid Rais is absolutely correct, because you have to counter such malicious moves with more wisdom and with more serious efforts. That's absolutely correct. But at the same time, the now government is on the correct path. A dollar is being managed and controlled. It was just flying high so much to the cost of the sadness to the community, to the country, to the people. So it was telling upon on the lives of the people. It has been managed to a certain extent, and furthermore, it will be managed within coming days. More so, the Prime Minister's endeavors are rarely yielding fruit. 2 days before, he was in Saudi Arabia, and they have made a commitment for investment of $12 billion here. And the Prime Minister, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, is visiting Pakistan next month. So day after tomorrow, or on the 2nd of next month, he is going to China. So a lot of help is pouring on from the other countries. Likewise, the World Bank is giving us 1 billion and 50 crores of dollars.
And I think even America has pledged about $30 million more to the flood affectees.
Asian Development Bank has also given $1.5 billion to. So this is all efforts which are to be disseminated and told to the people are being made by the government, and rates of the daily use pulses and vegetables are being managed, and they are coming down. No doubt the challenge is colossal, but the answer is a practical step for the welfare in the interest of people. Only demagoguery, as Imran Khan has resorted to, and deceive the people will not work. Once there is some facility being extended to on the threshold of the masses, things will start changing. So I personally think this, as my friend Naveed Sahib has said, it's not
I mean, certainly it's true, you know, as far as performance is concerned. I'll come back to you. Naveed Sahib, Rana Sahib is right when he talks about the fact that the government is geared towards performance. We've seen a Prime Minister who's come and has only talked about performance rather than indulging in any kind of, you know, back and forth exchange with this kind of politics that has emanated from the opposition. But again, if you look at what Farid Sahib is saying overall, do you think that perhaps now, you know, like we saw the DG ISPR DG ISI conference, which is unprecedented, perhaps there needs to be an unprecedented refutation, you know, that needs to be more consistent from the government side now? Do you think that also is needed?
Well, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif is known for his doings, for his good work, for his management, and for his vision. In China, he is known with this name. In the entire world, yes, in Turkey too, he is known for this. Prime Minister, he believes in practical things, not in the fictions. On the other hand, former Prime Minister Imran Khan, he believes in fictions, fictitious things, maligning the institutions. He has done nothing in his more than 3.5 year tenure. He has nothing to sell to his followers. That is why he focused on a cipher, fictitious cipher, was just a piece of paper, because DG ISI and DG ISPR categorically has told Imran Khan, his companions, his followers, and everybody that cipher was not a factual paper, or has nothing within itself. And it was just a false story. As a politician, all the politicians have obligation to guide the people, to inform the people, to lead the people. But here, unfortunately, Imran
But
Khan
not
has
to
misguided the
mislead the
people.
people, I
Has
think.
misguided the people.
Right.
And
Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for being with us, Farid, Rais. Thank you for joining us, Rana, Maqbool, Ahmad. Thank you for joining us, Naveed, Aman. Thank you for being with us today. Of course, the government, we saw the press conference refuting claims of a cipher, of a conspiracy that happened yesterday. But overall, in terms of course, it is the right of the opposition to protest. It's also the right of the opposition to give their narrative. But where does the buck stop? That's a question that I want to leave the audience with. That where does the buck stop? Does it stop at what's important, what's patriotic, what's better for the country? Where does where does your politics of agitation stop? And that is perhaps a question for the opposition of today. When we talk about narratives, when we talk about building narratives, when we talk about mobilizing your support base, is there some sort of a ethical standard to which today as politicians we aim to adhere to, we want to adhere to, or is there no such standard anymore when we talk about lies, when we talk about conspiracy theories, when we talk about building narratives on those very rickety foundations? Will they not inevitably fall? Thank you so much for joining us today on Presser.